What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Lake Julian Disc Golf Course looking at the flippy fairway driver slot. This is the disc that's been in my bag for a little while now. This is the Proton Drift. I've been underwhelmed by the drift. It just isn't as drifty or as understable as I would like it to be, and for me to get a drift out of it, I have to throw it with so much wind that I'm not really reaching for a flippy fairway anyways. So this is probably coming out today, but we're testing out the Eternal Jackalope, basically a Proton. This is same flight numbers, but an 8-speed, slightly flatter, not quite as domey. So maybe I'll get a little bit more aggressive of a turn. We're gonna start off here on the long pad for 10 though, and see if I can actually get some turn and drift out of these supposedly drifty fairway drivers. We're gonna go with the drift first. There's a little bit of a wind coming. It feels like it's off the right side. So if these are on hyzer, they may not flip over because the wind will push them. See, that didn't even flip up to flat. I can get a crave to flip more than I can get that drift to flip. And a crave is a -1-1, and that is a -2-1. This already, just because the rim is not quite as blunt on the edge, it's a little bit smaller profile. It's an 8-speed, but it feels smaller than the 7-speed. So this might actually turn. It did turn. There's a tree there. First 2 throws out of the car though. I'm not going to complain about the release points. We definitely need to be better. But as we continue to throw these, that throw already felt more like I'm going to like the Jackalope more than the drift. That's what it feels like. Let's keep tossing and let's see if that's true. I should also mention that the metric for scoring for today is not which one goes furthest or straightest, but which one actually ends up further right, which one gives me more drift, because this is supposed to be the understable fairway slot where you can throw it out flat, get it to push to the right, throw it on the hyzer, get it to stand up and maybe get a small drift. So which one of those did better? Jackalope has 1 point. We're in the middle pad for hole 12 now. I'm gonna try to put them out flat and see if we can get the drift around to the right. I mean, drift is in the fairway. I hit a tree with the Jackalope. But the drift went dead straight and then faded. The Jackalope turned into the tree. See the issue I'm running into? The drift is amazing. And honestly, it might be like the perfect, if you want to crave but don't want the overmold, the drift might be that disc, or at least in Proton. But the drift is not the understable, drifty fairway driver slot. It's just, I think the rim is just too blunt. So that's 2 points for the Jackalope because it has drifted both times, but also first time throwing it, so it's been a little off on the exact release points because I don't know the disc yet. It's flying amazing. I just need to not hit a tree. So long pad for hole number 9. Hopefully we don't hit a tree. Let's see if we gas them up, Give them the distance, give them the power to try to get there. Can they get there? How straight do they go? How much drift? We do have, feels like a tiny bit of headwind, but it's fairly calm right now. Perfect. That's exactly what I want from that slot. I thought it was gonna keep drifting, but it came back. That's perfect. The eternal jackalope may be perfection. This drift doesn't do that. Much flatter, much lower without the elevation. That feels like a crave, not like the flippy I'm gonna get a lot of good distance with it disc. I feel like I have to throw it too hard, even though it's super domey. It just doesn't want to get the same flip. So on the next T-pad, we'll look at the profiles and I'll try to show you what I'm talking about, the slightly more blunt edge. But Jackalope finally got to see full flight, and the full flight was about as perfect as you can possibly want. The first 3 points were completely unanswered by the Jackalope, and the drift just, it doesn't drift for me. It might do it great for some other people. It just doesn't, it's not flippy enough for this slot. And right now it flies too similar to the Eagle L, which kind of is a different slot than this. So that's why Jackalope, I think, is gonna take it. We're still gonna throw 2 more drives with each. This is what used to be the pad for 7, and they changed the numbering. So now this is the short pad for hole 4. It's the same tee pad, same fairway as 7 used to be. This one films better than that one, so. You can't really ask for much more than that. That's like perfect. That is the landing zone for a good drive. Great drive's better, yes, but that is like the perfect landing zone to take an easy 4. This cannot throw on nearly that much hyzer. About the same spot, but the Jackalope has the turn at low speed. So at high speed, I just put it on more hyzer and I get the same turn. The drift does not have the turn at low speed. So I guess for beginner friendly discs, Jackalope is probably going to be the one that you want for the understability more than the drift. The drift will give you some turn at high speed, but it really only feels like a -1-1. It feels like a solo mode crave. Like the flight feels like a crave. It doesn't feel like a flippy understable fairway driver. So yeah, Jackalope, 4 unanswered. Is this going to be the first ever clean sweep? Let's go ahead and throw last hole and see what happens. I forgot I was going to show you the profiles. This is the drift, and that's kind of a high parting line to have a -2-1 attached to it. This is the Jackalope. So, Jackalope, this is weirdly the most flashing I've ever seen off of an MVP produced mold or disc. The edge thickness, how thick it is right here, is much thinner on the Jackalope than on the drift. What does that mean for flight characteristics? That means that it's not going to slice through, it's not going to pierce through the wind as much. So it kind of does need a little bit more spin, a little bit more glide hence why this one has more dome. But that slightly blunter edge makes it slow down a little bit quicker, meaning you're not going to get as much turn because it's slowing down faster. The sharper the edge is, the faster and the more aerodynamic it is, the less likely it is to slow down, right? Because it's slicing through. Whereas the more blunt you make it, the slower it's going to, or the quicker it's going to slow down, because there's more friction, there's more plastic there to slow the disc down. There's more wind resistance. Let's see if we can go clean sweep. Jackalope, we're on the long pad for hole number 8. I'm liking how I can just put it on a lot of hyzer and it's still gonna flip every time. It's basically flying the way that my Essence used to fly, except that this one is Proton. So much hyzer, straight up in the air, flips up to super straight, and then dumps off. So you can manipulate the different hyzer angles to get the different shot that you want, versus the drift, where if you don't have it super precise, it's just gonna fade out. Am I going crazy? That was so much more hyzer on the Jackalope for essentially the same shot and basically the same result. So Jackalope is in, drift is out, and yeah, I don't know if the drift will come back. It just, something feels a little off about the rim shape for my hand. So I gave it a shot, but I don't think it has the longevity to stay in my bag. Hopefully you guys are enjoying content like this. If so, please make sure to like the video. If you want to see new stuff, make sure to comment all of that down below, especially if you have your fairway driver that you think could fit into this slot. Please make sure to subscribe. It helps you guys out with these subscriber-only giveaways. Definitely helps me out as well. And until next time, see you out on the course.